Welcome to this explainer of modern telecommunications. Today, we're zeroing in on part 4 of a really incredible 15-part tutorial created by Virtualization Options LLC. They're a Colorado-based technology research, education, and advisory organization, and let me tell you, this specific module provides an absolute masterclass. It essentially gives us a definitive map connecting the old-school foundational analog theory all the way to the AI-driven cloud-converged networks of tomorrow. So if you want to truly grasp the infrastructure that's literally powering our connected world, well, you are in exactly the right place. Let's jump right in.
Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the foundations of connectivity, then look at the digital paradigm shift, the blueprints of the internet, the mobile wireless revolution, cloud and telecom convergence, and finally, the future of networks.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, Foundations of Connectivity.
Let's start grounded in physical reality, because at the end of the day, everything we do in IT eventually hits the real world of physics, light, and electromagnetic waves. Modern telecom can fundamentally be understood through a 3-layer hierarchy. Down at the base, we have step 1, the physical layer. This is the tangible, heavy stuff, the cables, the antennas, and the amplifiers that actually move raw signals from point A to point B. Above that sits step 2, the logical layer. This encompasses all the protocols, the addressing, and the switching that basically give structure and direction to that raw data. And finally, sitting right at the top is step 3, the application layer. This is where the telecom magic actually comes alive for the user. It's the layer delivering services like your voice calls and web browsing. Whenever you stream a video or make a quick call, you're actually relying on all 3 of these steps working together in absolute perfect harmony.
Now, you might be wondering, how did we get from those old, crackly analog lines to the flawless digital connections we have today? Well, to move from the noisy, constantly degrading world of analog to pristine digital, engineers relied on a historic leap, powered by something called the Nyquist-Shannon sampling theorem. Basically, it states that you can perfectly reconstruct a continuous analog signal if you sample it at twice its highest frequency. It's a brilliant concept. Since the human voice generally operates somewhere between 300 and 3,400 hertz, engineers decided to take 8,000 samples every single second. That put them safely above that minimum threshold needed to accurately capture human speech.
And here is where it gets really interesting. By quantizing those 8,000 samples and assigning 8 bits to each one, engineers arrived at a magic number: 64,000 bits per second. This math created the classic 64 kilobits per second G711 voice channel. Honestly, it's pretty wild to think about, but this one single formula established the foundational unit of capacity that still underpins telephone networks worldwide today.
Moving right along to Section 2, the digital paradigm shift.
So, scaling up from single channels to massive capacity required a total rethink of how we organize data. As networks grew, engineers had to figure out how to share these physical mediums efficiently. Legacy telephony used a method called time division multiplexing, or TDM for short. TDM allocates repeating fixed time slots for every single channel. Now that's fantastic for consistent delivery, think of your traditional T1 lines, but it is incredibly wasteful if no one is actually talking during that time slot. The capacity just sits there, unused. On the flip side, modern internet traffic is completely different. It's bursty. You click a link, download a massive file in a second, and then spend 5 minutes just reading the page. To handle this, we use statistical multiplexing. It's a demand-driven approach that dynamically hands out bandwidth based on actual real-time traffic needs.
In fact, there's a saying in the industry that overbooking is the economic engine of telecommunications. Internet service providers routinely oversubscribe their access links by ratios of 20-to-1 or sometimes even more. They are basically betting on the statistical improbability of everyone trying to use their peak bandwidth at the exact same millisecond. It's an absolute art form of capacity planning. But as we all saw in the early days of the global pandemic, when that model breaks down and everyone hops online at once, networks congest very, very quickly.
To help troubleshoot this incredibly complex and growing web, the IT world got a massive gift in 1984, the OSI reference model. It gave professionals a common, shared language. It builds from the bottom up, starting with the raw bits of layer 1 on the physical cables, moving up through MAC addressing and local switches at layer 2, routing IP traffic at layer 3, and going all the way up to layer 4 transport. Layer 4 is where we get reliable TCP connections, or for things like real-time voice and video, those incredibly fast connectionless UDP protocols.
That brings us perfectly to Section 3, Blueprints of the Internet. Let's look at how these logical layers actually scaled to cover the globe. A really major architectural shift happened at layer 3 when we transitioned our IP addressing system. Initially, we used IPv4. It used 32-bit addresses, which gave us roughly 4.3 billion unique IP addresses. Which sounds like a lot, right? But to keep from running out, we had to rely on clever workarounds like NAT, network address translation, which allowed thousands of private devices to hide behind just one public IP. But then came the explosion of IoT devices, and we simply had to upgrade to IPv6. IPv6 uses massive 128-bit addresses, offering a staggering 340 undezillion combinations. It's a number so big it literally eliminates the concept of IP scarcity, and on top of that, it brings in mandatory IPsec for better security and stateless auto-configuration to make plug-and-play much easier. Now, this robust new IP foundation ended up acting as the catalyst for one of the most disruptive shifts in the history of telecom, voice over IP, or VoIP. It was a total game changer. We took phone calls off of those massive hardware-heavy and frankly wasteful circuit-switched telephone networks, and we moved them onto flexible packet-switched infrastructure. Today, your voice call control isn't managed by a giant piece of telecom hardware. It's managed by software running on standard commodity servers. It completely transformed the economics and the scalability of enterprise communications.
Next up, Section 4, the mobile wireless revolution.
While wires and optical fibers were busy carrying the internet across continents, a parallel untethering was happening right out in the airwaves. The whole cellular concept, which is basically dividing coverage areas into small cells and reusing radio frequencies, evolved at just a staggering pace. We went from basic analog 1G voice in the 1980s, which paved the way for digital 2G and SMS text messaging in the 90s. Then we got 3G mobile broadband in the 2000s, which gave way to the all-IP architecture of 4G LTE in the 2010s. And that lands us exactly where we are right now in the 2020s, tapping into 5G's massive millimeter wave capacity.
But making that wireless revolution actually work required some serious engineering magic. A truly crucial component of this is a technology called OFDMA. Here's the problem. When radio waves bounce off buildings or hills, they arrive at your phone at slightly different times. It causes a mess called multipath interference. OFDMA elegantly solves this in 4G and 5G networks by breaking the available bandwidth down into hundreds of much slower parallel subcarriers. So by transmitting the data slightly slower but across many, many channels all at the exact same time, that multipath delay essentially becomes a non-issue. It's a brilliant way to ensure highly efficient, crystal-clear data transmission, even in a crowded city.
On to Section 5, Cloud and Telecom Convergence. So today, we've reached this fascinating inflection point where legacy telecom infrastructure and modern cloud data centers are virtually indistinguishable. They have truly merged. Telecommunications and cloud computing now share a completely symbiotic, convergent architecture. Through what we call next-generation networks, operators have totally decoupled the physical transport layer from the service software. So by using cloud orchestration and systems like the IP Multimedia Subsystem, often just called IMS, a single centralized pore manages your connection. This is the exact underlying tech that lets you be on a Wi-Fi call in your living room, walk out the front door, and have the call seamlessly hand off to the cellular network without dropping a single syllable. Finally, let's look ahead with Section 6, the future of networks. With voice fully packetized, cellular untethered, and the cloud fully converged, what transformative technologies are waiting for us on the horizon? Well, the future of telecom is actually shifting away from discrete hardware boxes sitting in server racks. We are moving toward structural electronics. Imagine metamaterial surfaces built right into the architecture of an office building, actively steering and reflecting radio waves into dead zones without even needing an external power source. Or think about optical wireless communication, which uses light instead of traditional radio frequencies to transmit data. And perhaps most critically of all, artificial intelligence is moving from being just a top-level management tool to being embedded directly into the telecommunications protocol stack, optimizing signal processing in absolute real time. Because networks are evolving faster than traditional foundational education can keep up, this explainer leaves us with a critical question to ponder. As physical boundaries dissolve and infrastructure becomes entirely programmable, how will you expand your own technical scope to master this vast interconnected system? Having deep knowledge in one specific technology is great, for sure. But the future really belongs to those who can zoom out and see how radio physics, software, security, and cloud economics all interact across the entire stack. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.